So this is a homework video for section 9.8. You were assigned 3 problems on page 576, 4, 6, 10, 12, 16, and 18. I'm gonna do half of those. I'll do 6, 12, and 18 for you. So let's start with number 6. So here you have 49 minus 121p squared. So this is the first special case, the first shortcut type. The shortcut that works for this, if you remember, you had it's the difference of squares. You have a squared, and a can be anything, either just number, a variable, or a combination of the two, minus b squared, same rules here. Then you can write it as a plus b times a minus b. So let's see if we have this particular problem in that form so that we can utilize the shortcut. Well, I can write the 49 as 7 squared. It's a perfect square. I could do that. And then I can write the 121 as 11 squared. Again, it's a perfect square. I can do that. And then I have a p squared here. Further, I can rewrite this as 7 squared minus 11p all taken to the second power. You don't have to do this. It just makes it look a little bit more professional, I suppose. So now let's see if we have something squared minus something else squared in this format. And we do. We have 7 squared minus the 11 and the p squared, either individually or together, doesn't really matter. So that qualifies, and we can plug it into this formula. So the 7 is our A and the 11p is our B, which means we can work it out as such. 7 plus 11p and 7 minus 11p. And that's it. You are done. There's nothing else to do. And the minus can go first, the plus can go first. In this case I have the plus first, obviously. It doesn't really matter. Alright, that's number 6. Let's move on to number 12 next. So this is the second shortcut type problem where you're trying to figure out if you can apply a shortcut to this problem. Well, if you remember, we had 2 other shortcuts that worked for these kinds of trinomials. And the one I want to utilize here, or try to utilize here, is a squared minus 2ab. I go with a minus because I have a minus here, plus b squared, which then equals to, if it fits into this particular format, a minus b all taken to the second power. So if this trinomial fits into this configuration, then I can use this shortcut to apply to it and not go through and do my diamond and or the trial and the error method. So that means I have to first figure out what my a and b terms are. So my a squared should be right here. My b squared term should be right here. And my middle term, which is my 2ab, should be right there. Awesome. So let's see if it all fits. So what's my a and what's my b? What's the a and what's the b? Well, if the a squared corresponds to 9t squared, remember that the 9 can be written as 3 squared. So I'm going to rewrite it real quick up top here. You can write the 9 as a 3 squared. So this can be the same as 3 squared t squared. I know it's kind of small, so I'm not sure if you can see that. So if the a squared corresponds to a 3 squared times a t squared, then the a should be the same as a 3t. The b corresponds to a 4, which you can write as 2 squared. So if b squared corresponds to a 2 squared, then b should correspond to a 2. And for the middle term, we have 2 times a times b. 2, then times a and times b, and we know what a and b are now. A is 3t and b is 2. So a is 3t and b is 2. Now let's crunch our numbers and see what we get. 2 times 3t is 6t. 6t times 2 is 12t. Does the value match to our middle term? Yes, it does. The signs are off. I have a negative here and I have a positive here, so that means we have to use the second form of our shortcut, which I already conveniently have here, where it's a negative instead of a positive between the a and the b. But everything else works out, so I can use this shortcut. So how do I do that? Well, I'm going to use the orange color now. You do your parenthesis, take it to the second power, and it's going to be a, the 3t, minus the b, which is a 2. Well, that's it. That's the answer to that problem. Pretty simple, I'd like to think. Alright, so let's do number 18 next. Alright, so here we have a z squared plus 12z plus 36. So we're going to see if we can use, again, one of these shortcuts to apply to this particular problem. Alright, so let's see what we can do. Since I have all positives here, more than likely it's going to be this particular shortcut where it's a squared plus 2ab plus b squared all equals to a plus b taken to the second power. So if this matches this, then I can use this shortcut to apply to this problem. Well, great. So first of all, I need to figure out my a and my b. So I know that the a squared corresponds to the first term and the b squared corresponds to the last term. So if the a squared corresponds to a z squared, then the a should correspond to a z. The 36 is a perfect square. You can write that as 6 squared. So if the b squared corresponds to a 6 squared, then the b should correspond to a 6. Now the middle term is 2 times a times b. Well, let's see if we can get our middle term to line up with that form. So it's 2 times a times b, and we know how our a and b. A is z and b is 6. This problem's really simple. You have 2z, so 2 times z, 2z times 6, which ends up being 12z. This and this match, the signs match up. So I use the regular shortcut, the one with the plus, the positives. Excellent. So all that's left is to plug in my a and b into the shortcut formula because I know it works, and I'm done. So a is z, b is 6, so z plus 6 all taken to the second power, and that's it. Done. There's nothing else for us to do. Yep, perfectly done. So that's it for number 18. That was surprisingly a very simple problem. I was expecting a little bit more. Oh well. Hopefully your expectations won't be so hurt. Anyways, thank you very much. If you have any questions about this particular homework, just ask me in class. The other 3 problems, if you have problems with those, just ask me in class. So I'll see you back on Monday. Thank you.